If you didn't see the previous video from Tendou's story, let's recap what happened in the first video where we saw Tendou and his friends. They were achieving some silly wishes when suddenly they encountered a large group of A-speaking zombies surrounding them. Despite their initial panic, a new hero named Beatrix, who appeared to be a foreign girl, showed up and single-handedly defeated the zombies in a legendary manner. They got to know Beatrix and she asked for their help in delivering the cargo she had in the truck to a specific location. You agreed to help her, and together they fought off a group of tattooed zombies, thanks to their teamwork. They successfully delivered the cargo as Beatrix had requested, and everyone was happy. The next day, they decided to enjoy some downtime at a hot spring due to the unpleasant smell they had picked up, but they encountered more zombies in the area and had to flee into a nearby forest. You woke up from your sleep and started walking through the forest when suddenly you found a peaceful clearing wherein Tendou appeared to be dead. From a branch or something, he falls into the water, but then he is shocked to find himself in the same place as Beatrix. Everyone is hiding from each other. We also learn that Beatrix seems to have a crush on Tendou, and some crazy kids appear and join them for the night, planning new adventures. Continuing their journey after spending some quality time in the water and having fun, they talked about the long road ahead of them, and how Tendou needs to make a good impression on his family when they meet them. Beatrix assumes that he must be worried about his family, but Kazuki says he hasn't seen them in 4 years. However, Tendou's behavior suggests that he is more troubled than he lets on. As they approach their destination, Tendou becomes increasingly anxious and tries to hide it, but he is struggling. Gradually, he becomes more and more nervous, and he tells them that after the tunnel ahead is his village. However, they are all surprised to find that the tunnel is closed off with rocks and a barrier, preventing anyone from entering. Tendou is in shock, and when they ask if his family might have turned into zombies, he vehemently denies it, saying that his family is fine. Masazuki returns and tells them that the tunnel won't work as an entry point to the village, and they need to find another way through the forest and mountains to avoid the zombies at the tunnel entrance. They start their journey through the forest, and everyone is tense, especially Tendou, who is still in shock. Mikazuki reassures Tendou, saying that both the tunnel entrance and exit are blocked, so it must have worked to keep the zombies out, and his family is likely safe inside. They continue on their path, feeling more relaxed until they hear a commotion behind them. They find an older man running from a group of zombies. Beatrix steps in and defeats the zombies, but the man gets hit by an arrow and falls to the ground. They thank the man for helping them earlier and introduce themselves. His name is Kamino, and he expresses gratitude for their assistance because he had been looking for a safe place to live. He had been running from the zombie boar creatures in the wild and asks what they are doing in the forest. Tendou explains that they are on a journey, and Mikazuki asks Kamino why he's living in the middle of the forest. Kamino admits that he had to flee from the zombie boar creatures and couldn't live out in the open, so he built a shelter from the rare and sturdy trees in this area. He tells them that the island to the south has trees with long and strong leaves, making it an ideal place to build a refuge. Tendou is amazed by the idea of having a treehouse like that, and Kamino's explanation leaves him in shock. Kamino adds that the forest therein contains unique trees and not found anywhere else, making it an excellent location for a shelter. Tendou is impressed by the idea of having a treehouse like that, and Kamino's explanation leaves him in shock. He adds that the forest therein contains unique trees and not found anywhere else, making it an excellent location for a shelter. Tendou begins to imagine the treehouse shapes he can create and live in, feeling very content. He starts conversing with a break until Tendou becomes convinced that the treehouse is all he needs to protect him from any dangers. Afterward, Mitsuki sits down to have tea, still not fully understanding the guys who are behaving like little boys. The rest of them prepare to build these treehouses, filled with excitement. They reassure each other that the tree won't get damaged if they know how to secure the spirits and the screws properly, which is a challenging task. They turn to a skilled builder for advice. To secure the nail, he starts learning from the builder, and he and his friend are both captivated by the process. After that, Mitsuki and Beatrix sit down to eat, thoroughly enjoying their delicious meal. Beatrix is particularly fond of the meat, especially the famous Japanese meat. Returning to the young men, the builder teaches them how to construct the treehouses and explains what is not allowed. He also emphasizes that the appearance of each treehouse should differ to avoid damaging the trees. He tells them that the forest is also considered part of the foundation of the house, so they should keep it in mind and consider it their home. This way, they can listen to all the sounds in the forest. Tendou and his friend are captivated by the words of the man, learning from him as they secure the nail. Tendou starts to think about how the world around him is building the house in his mind. He reflects on his dreams and the values of the wishes he wrote down. All of this while Tendou is working with the builder and conversing with him. The builder tells Tendou that he has a 1-year-old son and that when he was younger, he used to deceive his son to build a treehouse for him. He then asks Tendou about his son's whereabouts. Tendou pauses for a moment, and then he tells the builder that his wife had turned into a zombie and bitten his son in front of his eyes. He had to kill both of them with his own hands. Afterward, he feels like there are things he missed out on, whether it's his son growing up or enjoying retirement. He remembers the wisdom that says when you return the surplus to your family, it might be too late, but this time, it's the opposite. Tendou gets upset by the man's words, tears welling up in his eyes. He uses one hand to hold the board and the other to wipe away his tears. Tendou takes the board and tells him that he's with him, and they'll build the house together. After the man encouraged Tendou and his friends to quickly build the house before the zombies overwhelm them and they can't defend themselves, the house is successfully built, and it looks very beautiful. Tendou and Kento are overjoyed, jumping around and playing like children. However, Mitsuki scolds them, telling them to stop playing and focus because there's a problem now, the zombie monsters. The man assures them that he has saved them twice before and if they ever need him, he won't be late to help. All they have to do is blow a whistle in the forest to summon him. Mitsuki asks Tendou if he's satisfied now, and they decide to go and see his parents. They embark on a journey through a dangerous mountain pass, where many people have died due to its hazards. It used to be the only way to reach the nearby village before they built a tunnel in the early 20th century. After crossing a precarious rope bridge, they finally reach the village, and Tendou is thrilled because they have finally arrived. As they continue walking through the forest, Tendou reflects on his family, realizing that he hasn't thought about them since he grew up. He regrets not celebrating their birthdays or appreciating them until now. Tendou suddenly screams and calls out to his parents, hoping they are safe. However, when they arrive at a strange place, they find people singing and dancing. Tendou's friends are shocked by this situation and the behavior of these people. Tendou notices his father and mother sitting apart from the commotion. His mother looks at him sadly, and Tendou begins to cry. He approaches his parents to thank his father for working day and night to send him to college and his mother for taking care of him, cooking for him every day, and washing his clothes. Without them, he couldn't have made it, and he apologizes for worrying them all these years. However, unexpectedly, his father hits him on the head, leaving everyone in shock at his father's reaction. His mother looks at him with disappointment. When they ask why he hit his son, he says that Tendou came all this way just to say these words, "We are at the end of the world." Tendou's father asks his friends if they must be tired from their travels and reassures them that there are many places where they can relax. His friends tease him, but later, Tendou finds that his family and friends in Canada are serving them food. Auntie Tendou apologizes for the food not being of the expensive kind and mentions that it's the best they have, but they are welcome anytime. Mikazuki asks how they have been living here, and Tendou replies that they have isolated themselves and are self-sufficient through farming and hunting throughout the day. So, the world's problems are not a concern for them because they are used to isolating themselves during the summer and focusing only on farming and hunting. Mikazuki is pleased with this and says the place is indeed safe. Later, Peter asks and inquires about the zombies in the tunnel. Tendou explains that these zombies are people from the city who began to turn into zombies. They had no choice but to close off the tunnel to stop the disease from spreading. Tendou's friends are moved by this and start crying tears of joy, grateful that they found them in good condition. Auntie Tendou mentions that some people from the city came here, and they provided them with houses to live in, and they started farming with them, forgetting the outside world. Then, Peter suggests adding the old family home to Tendou's wish list, and Tendou gets excited about the idea. However, he remembers that he came here for another mission, to tell his parents that he is a good and respectful son and to repay their kindness. Auntie Tendou suggests that they take a tour of the village. They indeed take a tour of the village and find it to be like a page out of an old book, appreciating the beauty of the village. They say, "Even though I wasn't born here, I feel a sense of nostalgia for it." As for Tendou, he prefers to stay with his mother and tells her that he will wash the dishes in her place. Then, Tendou gives his mother a gift and tells her that he will give her a massage. He wants to take her to the hot spring to soothe her muscles. His mother is quite surprised by Tendou's actions, but she thinks to herself that Tendou really looks exhausted and not herself. She tells him that she will wash the dishes, which upsets Tendou, as he doesn't know what to do next. Soon after, Tendou's father arrives and offers to help. Then they all go to work in the fields, and Tendou starts a conversation with his father, asking about their family. His father informs him that everything is still the same. Tendou expresses that farming is very tiring, but his father tells him they've gotten used to it. Tendou promises to help with farming. After a short while, Tendou becomes tired from the heat and wonders how he can make his family happy and repay their kindness. He reflects on how to show his gratitude. Later, Tendou notices his father working hard and asks if he's okay. His father reassures him that he's fine. On the way, they encounter a group of boys who seem to be causing trouble in the village. These boys don't contribute positively to the community, they only seem to bring problems. It turns out these boys plan to open the tunnel to allow the zombies into the village because they believe that everyone's fate will eventually be turning into zombies. And that's the end of this story. Don't forget to like and activate the notification bell so you can receive updates on our channel.